So guys, it is 4:30 in the morning and I'm calling it quits. The whole front of the car is together minus electrical, turbo plumbing, headers, and a couple other minor little things. But it's not looking so bad. So we got the 4-bar set up in here, anti-roll bar. I got to make up the longer arms for it because we had to reposition it in correlation to what it was in the 33. So made up some mounts for that. Maddy did that on the mill. Anti-roll bars in there, wishbones in there, all that set up. Like I said in the last video, it's a whole modular setup that goes into the factory K-member. Shocks are all on. Turbos are roughly mounted. Since I couldn't get them where I wanted to, where they were in correlation with the 33, as far as height-wise goes and location, I moved them up to raise the center of gravity up because I couldn't have them as far back as I wanted. So it's a little bit of a compromise, but it's a compromise in the right direction to make it less of a significant impact having them farther forward. So if they were at the same height and farther forward, it has more of an effect than if they were the same, or as if they were higher in the same lateral location front to back, if that makes any sense. So guys, here's a couple pictures of the last two cars we built, the Dirty 30 and the Homegrown Hustler. These were two vehicles that we started from complete scratch, and the Homegrown Hustler was a little bit of an evolution from the Dirty 30 since the type of racing that we were doing was changing. Well, the type of racing that we're doing here with this Mustang is basically the same stuff that we built the Homegrown Hustler for, and it's a platform that we're going to use as an evolution slash a stepping stone into the next project. So guys, I'm going to explain some things here, and just understand that I'm not a YouTube superstar. I'm not a, what would you call it, babe? A public figure or something like that. I'm not a teacher. I'm more of a worker than a teacher here. But I'm going to try to give a little bit of education as to why the turbos are where they are, and explain what was in the last segment a little bit further. So when the turbos are on the same plane, or any heavy objects are positioned in the chassis in any certain way, shape, or form, they have an effect on how the chassis works. So now if the chassis, or if the turbos are on the same plane as far as height-wise goes, and one is farther forward and one is farther backward, it changes how the car works. Now, when you move the turbos farther forward, like we had to do with the Mustang because the strut towers and stuff were in the way, we also raised it up. So now if a car is at a 50% weight bias, front and rear, so let's say your car weighs 3,000 pounds and you have 1,500 pounds on the front and 1,500 pounds on the rear tires, at a 100-inch wheelbase, your center of gravity, or the center, is right at 100 inches, right in the dead center of the wheelbase. Now, if you raise the turbos up farther in the front, as far as the weight bias goes, it doesn't change. But that's because gravity works on a single plane, vertically up and down. That's why when you're standing there, you're not trying to tip over. You're just standing vertically. Gravity is working in one direction. But when you come into acceleration, having those turbos up a little bit higher, the car is trying to drive underneath the turbos, and it changes the way the car reacts. Now, this goes into many different effects on the chassis, and if you start really looking at different things on the car as to why they are the way they are, you'll start picturing and understanding some of the reasons why some things are on the car the way they are on the car, and which they will be on the future builds. But this channel's not here to give away some tips and stuff like that. This is just part of the journey, and I hope you guys get some understanding of it, and if you don't, that's okay too. But this car should really come around in the next few weeks, I guess you could say, as we start working on the new car. We'll debut that car when we get a little bit of a low point, not a low point, a little bit of a
dead space and content.
Yeah, a little bit of a dead space and content, I guess you could say. We'll release the new car that we recently picked up. We're still looking for a 33 or 34 Dodge pickup truck if someone found one of those. But for now, we got a platform that's going to be pretty cool and pretty similar to that. So we can start working on all the chassis work and stuff like that in the early stages of the build. So guys, I greatly appreciate the following. Here's some more videos. Tom was helping a little bit. He got the new Race Quip seat in there. I ordered up a full containment seat just to get that in there. I did the steering and stuff like that yesterday. Added a dash bar and some other stuff in there. Rear of the car, we're still working on some stuff back there. So yeah. Next up is probably headers, but we're gonna start on that in the morning, and I think we'll run over to Customs by Biggin and have them go through my injectors and just double check, make sure those are all good. Then we'll stop at probably SRI to see if they have some little pieces that we need, but it's a possibility. It is now Tuesday morning at 4:30 in the morning. I'm going to bed, and hopefully Tuesday is a productive day. Time for a nap. So guys, the last time we ran this motor was in the homegrown Hustler, the day we lost the car. Okay, earlier in that day we were running at Darlington, the backside of the track deal, similar to what we're trying to get this car for coming up here in just a couple days. Well, the reason we went to that street race was to verify that the crank trigger was working, because we were leaving the car down south. We were going to go home for Thanksgiving, and then we were going to be down south traveling for the winter. Well, that didn't go as planned. Crank trigger failed. We went to the street race. Crank trigger worked, and we lost the car. So we're going to go through and we're going to try to eliminate that issue. I went and grabbed a piece of 1.25 inch. The spacers that were on the crank trigger were 1 inch diameter. We're going a little bit wider, try to add a little bit more stability there. On this setup here, we run the lower bolt, goes right through the big block Chevy mount. It's a lower right hand side, I'll show you in a little bit. And then the upper is a stud mount that holds the fuel pump and everything like that. So this is some pretty hard aluminum. Centering it up in the lathe, we're going to bore it out to 7/16 for the bolt, and then we're going to cut it off. So I can't show you the whole process, but we'll do what we can. Eventually I'll get something to hold the phone. Maddy's up upstairs in the shop working on some stickers and stuff like that. So guys, I put it in the center drill, found the center in there, then I drilled it out to 1/4 inch, and then I'm getting ready to drill to 7/16. Okay, the thickness of the washers are 3/8, so 3/8 plus 3/8 is 6/8. 6/8 is 3/4. So easiest way to do this is on the lathe. You got a 1 inch mark here, and I set it up to 1 inch. I backed it off so it's about 3/4 now. So when I start the machine, it's not at 0, but I know I got to go to about 1 inch and 3/4. We'll go to 2 inches, and then we'll face it. Leave a little distance for a face, and then the cutter is 1/8 inch thick, so you got to leave a little room for that to cut off your section, and then cut off the other section. So we won't be making 2 spacers here, and I guess that's the process of how I do it. I'm no trained professional, but we're gonna work our way around. So now you see that we have our 7/16 hole in here. We're gonna go through. We're gonna shut off the machine here. We're gonna go over and index this cutter, and we're just gonna go through and make a face on here. So this is 100% perpendicular to the tube. Make sure it's perfectly flat, so when our crank trigger bolts up, everything is perpendicular and it's running true with the crank trigger wheel. So guys, now I set up the carbide bit and we faced it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's nice and shiny. Went and faced it. Now we're gonna switch the carbides. If I can do this carefully enough. Then we'll put on our cutting carbide. Then we're gonna go through here, move this out of the way, and I'll be back 1 second. Well guys, it's gonna be hard to see it. I went through, scribed a little bit of a line here, so I know the thickness of the bushing that we need. It's just over 3/8. Marked it out, lined up the cutter. Now we're gonna chop this sucker off. Well guys, here are our new and improved crank trigger spacers. Quick little, I don't know, couple minute job, but a lot more surface area on them to help stabilize the crank trigger. Okay guys, right now I'm making up some new, slightly warm, anti-roll bar links. The frame rails on this this project right here are a lot taller than what they were on the 33. So I actually had to make up some new anti-roll bar setup for the front of the car. So I put them in the lathe, and you can see they got some 1/4-inch holes in them for some rosette welds. A rosette weld just helps take some stress off of the weld that's at the top. You can't really see it, but the weld that's going to be right there joining the bung to the main tube here. Then you put some rosette welds in it so that that makes it pretty damn impossible to come apart. So yeah, we're going to weld these up. And then it is probably about 3:30 in the morning right now. Something like that. Probably about 3:30 in the morning. And I got to meet a guy at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to weld these up. I just got done fitting the alternator. And another thing, just like from the 33 to this car, of course, I made new front plates and mid plates and had to mount the motor and all that stuff as well. But with the frame rails being higher, I couldn't mount my alternator in the same holes. So I copied the mid plate from the 33 onto this car. And yeah, of course, the belt was the right length and everything else like that. But the tensioner, I'm gonna have to make another Heim joint setup for this rod end setup to adjust it. But the rod end was in the wrong position. You just couldn't. There was no way to attach it to a fixed position to put some tension on the belt. So I had to move the alternator over and clock it differently and cut the mid plate again. Sawzall Superstar type stuff just to make it work, because I already mounted the mid plate to the car because, you know, it's all been together before. But nope, the rod end adjuster was in the wrong position, because on the frame rail on the 33 it was level. This one's up higher, and you just couldn't get it to articulate to set it up. So yep, one more thing, we're gonna get back to welding, get this all together, and then Maddy just brought in some clothes, so I'm gonna go into the shower, take a shower, wash up, so I can meet this guy at 8 o'clock in the morning to buy some potential headers for this thing. They're not really headers, but I guess we'll see that later in the video. I gotta apologize. We've been slacking on the social media stuff a little while, but we're hoping to get this stuff going a little bit better. We're working on some stuff about 15 feet in that direction, but yeah, we'll let that come out in the near future. So guys, I appreciate everyone that supports the journey. Once again, Hustlin' Horsepower and Lady Gangster Racing. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow along with the ride. This car right here. Once again, John, I gotta say I greatly appreciate the offer. I appreciate your belief in us, and we hope to do you proud with this project. With a little bit of testing, I think we'll be able to figure it out.